Hello and welcome back to your favorite podcast, the Golden Nugget podcast. Guys, today's a special episode because it's just girls. It's the girls. And if you just think that Kayla has a twin, you are not mistaken. Kayla's little sister Maya is here, and Kayla has switched seats with Enoch.
Wow, it's just I don't even know how to feel.
I gave her a promotion.
And then Maya is now Maya's trying to figure out how to deal with her own little camera over there. I was like, Maya, don't watch the camera the whole time.
She looks cute.
She does look cute. You look great, Maya. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Maya is Kayla's younger sister. Kayla, do you want to give a little insight about Maya?
I met Maya about 19 years ago.
All right.
She is my baby sister. Mm-hmm. She's in college in Florida.
Where do you go to college?
Southeastern University.
She's saved.
Yep, she loves the Lord. She's looking to get
do.
into ministry. She leads worship. And she works with youth, and she is
a youth.
She is a youth.
Wow. She works with youth.
I'm 19, guys. I'm aging out.
She's aged out, but she seriously is the best. She's my best friend, and she's super cute, even though she's
you're gonna be nothing but sweet on this podcast,
yes.
Maya.
Yes, I've already locked it in my brain that
that's good.
Nice.
That's good.
Yeah, she's a little evil, but it's okay.
Okay. I have always been the little sister, but sometimes I feel like I have the dynamic of being my sister's older sister.
100%.
So I can share in that. Well, guys, today's just all going to be about the girls.
Yes.
Yay.
I love it. Enoch is unfortunately not on this episode because he's very ill. He actually came and set the cameras up for us, and he was wearing a mask. That's how sick he is. So everybody, if you're hearing this, send a little prayer up for Enoch. He's not feeling too good. I will say something to give him a little bit of credit. He's not like the classic man that gets sick and is helpless. Which is crazy because it's so bad. We just got home from Greece. We talked about it in our birthday episode that we did last week. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, I loved last week's episode.
Honestly, yes.
We
looked so good in it.
Here's I'll say something about that in a second. But we went to Greece. It was incredible. We had the most amazing time. The food unmatched. I think I am a Greek salad after I came back. All I want is feta. All I want is cucumber, red onion. Yes. Just incredible. So fresh. I was just feeling so good. I'm so tan right now. Enoch is so tan. So I'm glad that he's not sitting next to me. Thank you for saying that. I did have acrylic nails on T-minus 2 hours ago. Chewed them all off.
That was me the other day.
Do you guys ever do that?
I literally did. I scheduled my nail appointment, and as I was leaving the house, chewed all my
literally.
off.
Because one thing I don't want to do is sit in that chair as they try to soak them off. Why do I feel like that takes longer?
It takes so long. One time I was in there for legit an hour.
No, and then they're drilling, and I'm like, I feel like it makes it worse when they get them all wet and soggy.
Yeah.
And then they're trying to peel it off, and then they use a different nail to.
It's just nasty.
The different nail under.
Oh no. Okay.
I haven't gotten acrylics in a while, but that is something that sticks.
This is the girls episode, guys. If you know what, keep listening. Okay. Shout out to all the guys who listen to us, who literally have told me to my face they still listen because Enoch. Sorry, Enoch's not on this episode. But
they'll be all right.
All the girls who get their nails done will know the pain when they put on an acrylic nail wrong and they have to remove it right there, and they take that other little fresh nail and they put it. I think that's what hell would be.
Yeah.
Hell would be getting a crooked acrylic nail and them having to redo it on site.
It's awful.
That actually gave me chills down my spine. No. But I am in that phase of I just ripped off my acrylic nails. My actual nail is longer than it normally is.
Yeah.
And I'm dying to not just rip them off.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so hard.
I'm all I want is just to last.
I did in the car on the way to the salon.
It's bad.
But I'm in my Gel X era right now.
Okay, do you love Gel X?
I do, because it lasts.
Your nails look
longer,
incredible.
And they're thinner. They're not as
they are so thin, and the shape is always perfect.
Yeah, because they don't have to
style them and stuff. My last ones, they were a bit of a tough tough go. They're a bit of a tough go. Also, I'm like, I didn't wear socks on this episode, and I'm like, I'm barefoot. And I keep just remembering that my little foot keeps going right to camera. Anyway, we haven't gotten the merch socks made yet, but now that we're back in town, we're going to get all of the merch shirts up. Guys, these shirts are so cute. We should probably wear them every episode because they're so cute. Flattering. We'll give you one, Maya, for being on.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I'm honored.
I love that. I love that you're honored. About what Kayla's point was, we loved the last episode because I don't know, something about these chairs that we're sitting in.
Yeah.
It's like, it adds 45 pounds.
This is my first time, and I'm like over here like
no, it's like
trying to cross my legs the right way.
I feel like this would be every before picture I would ever have would be me sitting in this chair. But me on that couch, me last week on that couch,
we were giving body. Okay,
I'm as skinny as a needle. I'm literally like, oh my gosh, you look incredible, girl.
Let us know what angle you guys like.
No
best.
one's gonna say that.
Let us know. Like, did you guys like the couch?
I feel so much freedom in this episode thinking it's just the girls. You know, on TikTok when it's like, if you're a girl, watch. If your boy keeps scrolling. That's literally this episode. It's like, keep scrolling. But guys, we I don't know if we're any other topics. I did start watching The Bachelorette this week. I don't know if it's like controversial because I don't know if everybody loves like that franchise. It can get kind of fun. I'm not like super deep into it, but it is already interesting. And there was someone from Dallas in it. Which I feel like there's always like 75 people from Dallas in it.
Every show I watch these days, I'm like,
I think he's like gone to our church.
Oh,
I don't know if I want to keep that in, King. But I think, so I was like, okay, he feels pretty close to home. But
you always feel like you know him.
I know.
I saw him in the balcony
You're
last
best
week.
friends with us, right? So I love seeing it all kind of take place. I already know who like the front runners are. I was making this joke. You guys aren't Bachelorette and Bachelor people.
No, we're in a different universe. Love Island.
Love Island is crazy. My sister loves Love Island.
Love Island USA this year.
You've been doing a lot of posts about Love Island.
Oh yeah, I just feel it passionately.
I feel like at this point I'm following like a Love Island like gossip account.
Well, the thing is, it's like this season of USA, and if anyone knows, you know that USA has historically not been
always
good.
been horrible. I'm so shocked everybody's been loving it.
Peak reality TV. I'm talking about this is not just the best season of Love Island. This is the best reality TV we've gotten in a while.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's a bold take.
That's a very hot take.
But I've watched every season of UK, USA, and Australia, and I can tell you that this is the best season I've ever watched in real time.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. And they have like a new episode like every night, right?
Every night. And you're like, oh, if you're like, that's too much, it's not. We're on the edge of our seat. We're right now like,
my sister used to drive me insane because she's like, I have a new episode to watch. I'm like, you just did. And
we
she's
cancel
like,
dinner. Like, we'll change our dinner reservation so we're home by 8.
I missed plans.
So
Sorry.
that's a problem. There's a fly in here that could literally make me lose my mind. Anyway, everything's fine. If you just listen to audio, there's nothing to see. All that to say, I'm a Bachelorette girl. That's what because I like feel like you get really attached to the characters as they go through seasons.
Yeah.
And so now Jen is the Bachelorette. The Bachelors. This is like, have you guys ever seen any of these episodes?
No.
Never?
I've watched The Golden Bachelor.
Wow.
That is rough season to watch as your first one.
And I actually never saw that one.
It was so iconic.
It seems sweet.
The Golden Bachelorette.
They're not together anymore.
I saw that at 3 months after the wedding.
That's
so for real.
Devastating. I know. I'll say it's not what it used to be. Like the first season of The Bachelor, it was like people like the term bachelor or bachelorette was always like someone in my mind. I think this was like actually the term of it. Someone who was like 45 plus or like in their 40s or even if it was a girl's like 30s, late 30s into her 40s, career established, all these things. And now like they're a bachelor, they're a bachelorette. They have everything but love. And that's what they're looking for. And now it's like there's like girls on there that are like 21. It's like, all right, I don't know about all that.
I just want to find love. I'm like, you've barely tried.
I know. So, but I still watch it. I love it. But the first episode is like her meeting all the guys or vice versa if it was a guy meeting all the girls. And they always try to do something that stands out. There's this one guy, you guys. all of them are so gimmicky. I mean, all you're trying to do is really just like show like
a little personality.
Yeah, and just to be remembered. That's all you want to do. One guy came up, and I don't know what his goal was, but I guess he was trying to like show that he was like cool, or like he could like take the heat. He ate 2 habanero peppers in front of her, and you could see him physically start
immediately
actually
for me it's immediately the ick. I'm like, next.
He was like and like he gets back into the mansion after he meets her and is like trying like down milk. He's like undoing his tie. He's like sweating so bad. And I'm just like,
immediate ick.
I'm like, fake it. Like paint a bell pepper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like get a sweet pepper. Be like, it's a spicy one.
Right? You didn't have to do that much.
Like you didn't have to run the bit that hard. Nobody was testing the pepper.
But honestly, the commitment though, I feel like at first I get the ick, and then I'd be like, wow, like he'd do anything for me.
No. I think that's you alone.
But here's my theory though with anything like that.
Yeah.
If you like a guy, if you think he's hot, this is like the Romeo and Juliet theory for me. A guy throwing rocks in the middle of the night at your window, hot or scary. All of that depends on if you like him.
Yep.
Because if it's that like weird guy that you didn't really want to hang out with, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm calling the cops.
That's so real.
But if it's the guy that you like have been crushing on and he's throwing rocks your window in the middle of the night, like I could have, if he wanted to, he would.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's literally
such a real take.
It doesn't matter.
Haven't heard anything realer.
Like
I don't know that I have.
It truly does not matter.
Yeah.
Like what it is. It just has to be like if you have the ick with them or not. If you have a crush. Now you guys, I'm now recently married, obviously, but I saw this meme and I felt it in my bones, and it was like, life has no meaning if I don't have a crush. I was literally like, that was so.
That's Maya to a T.
I have to put the mic down.
That's Maya to a T. She will literally call me and be like, the pot's just not plotting right now. Nothing's happening.
It's truly embarrassing. I haven't talked to somebody in about like 4 or 5 months, and that's the longest I've done since like
what? Since you're 17? Middle school. Oh my gosh! Maybe she can take a break. This is good.
But like
I'm
this is
thinking
good.
back. I'm like, what have I missed?
I'm in my era.
I'm like, I'm missing chapters.
No,
I'm
it's
in
okay.
my
When
era.
you get on to like the next, you just forget about the last. So you probably forgot to.
That's
Okay. All right. That's so fun. But I literally, it's like if a crush is just like, it just changes everything.
It does.
It really does.
It really does.
I'm crushless right now, so I feel like I've lost the feeling. But
You want to talk about that?
I'm recently crushless.
Kayla's learning a lot of life lessons.
I
You know
really
those
am.
like Kodak moments? You guys know the term Kodak moment, right?
No.
Really? I feel like you're so chronically online on like TikTok.
Is that like
and
a
stuff.
millennial thing?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Maya on the bridge of Gen Alpha is gonna be coming.
Okay. Like the
Not too
definition
much.
of like a Kodak moment would be like you. Like Kayla would watch you go through a Kodak moment. Like we would watch you go through something. I would watch Kayla go through one. Like something that like happens when you're like 16 or 17 or like 20, and it's like your first time experiencing it. And you're like, oh, they got to go through it. That's a Kodak moment.
Okay, so that's what Anna's
Wait, I
saying
know
about
what
my
you're
last
talking
crush.
about, but I've heard it called something else. But I
Me
don't
too.
remember.
What?
I don't
Oh,
know.
That's
it
what
starts with
everybody
a
on
C.
TikTok-
It starts
no.
with the C.
It starts with a C.
Guys, it's called a Kodak moment.
No, it's something else.
And
Look
I'm
it up
not
while
wrong.
we keep talking.
Okay, yeah, you find out. No, it's literally called a
Kodak?
I'm pretty sure.
I swear it's something else.
If
It
I'm
starts
wrong,
with
I'm
a
literally
C.
gonna throw up. If I'm literally wrong, I'm like tattooing it on me. No, I swear
Wait.
it. Okay, now we're all searching it. Enoch editing this is gonna be like, what are they even talking about it?
I can't type.
I think this is real.
And I saw something of this. People used to say it all the time.
Yeah.
All I'm getting is Kodak Black
No, I'm seeing Kodak
and
moment.
Kodak pictures.
Is it wrong? Am I wrong?
It's something else, and it does have the
A canon event.
canon event.
Now I do feel so millennials talking to you little rats.
Kodak moment canon
As
event.
soon as you started describing it, I'm like, wait,
She's like,
I do know what that is.
I think it's something. I don't know. I
Canon
felt like
event.
kind of cool that like I knew something you guys didn't know. the fact that it's the same, it's like 2 different camera brands and like
and then
just
event and moment. I'm like, she really pulled out the thesaurus.
I said like the version that like Nickelodeon would use, like you know how they use like the pear instead of the apple.
Yep.
Like I use that version. Anyway,
canon moment.
canon event. That's what you're in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
like
that's real.
yeah, like everyone's like, we all know how this is gonna play out, and I'm like, no, I just gotta see for myself.
Yeah, but it has
Stupid.
to happen. It's literally character development.
Yeah, and
It does.
I feel developed.
And then if I could ever give any girlies out there who are dating, who are in this swirl of dating, the best advice I could ever give is to walk away. And when I say walk away, I mean like there is nothing like giving someone silence. You don't give a man your crazy. You
Yeah.
don't give him your emotion. You don't give him your sadness. You don't give him your words. Silence is the most deafening thing. And I'm like that. There are so many moments in my life, like maybe relationships that ended or like guys I've been cheated on before, like all that craziness. And I had every right to like read them their rights. And you just walk away.
Yeah.
And you just become
It's
a ghost.
so powerful.
And it's like your silence can't be misinterpreted. Your silence can't be screenshotted. Like your silence can't be told that you're crazy. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Like this isn't worth. And you just turn around and you walk away.
Yeah.
And I'll always say 9 times out of 10 when you do that, they'll always try to come back. This is not me saying
Boy, do they
this
keep
is to
coming
get
back.
them back.
They just
You keep
coming
the
back.
silence. But it just
Don't make
shows
my
like
mistake and just keep talking.
when you keep in the race, it gets a little
Yeah.
tough. But I mean, I feel like we've all been there where it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh,
I think- and
man,
then
you
also-
want something to work out so
So
bad.
bad.
so
So bad.
bad. And then no one talks about enough. Like you want it to work out so bad, and then like he's not like a jerk. You know, it's so easy to be like, girl, you can do
Sure.
so much better. He sucks. Like when he's nice, but
I've
you know
never
it's not right.
experienced
It's
that.
like
I
he couldn't
literally
be nicer, and you're like, but we're just in different seasons.
and
it's
that
like, ugh.
this is the kind of toxicity that people don't talk about. It's the enough.
Mhm.
When someone's giving you enough.
Just enough.
Mediocre men.
Yeah, that's Maya.
Tough.
That's what Maya calls it.
It's baseline. It's just enough. It's just enough text. I dated this guy one time and he would send me like good morning texts every day and he thought that was like killing it.
Oh.
And one time and I was like, you're not present enough with communication. I was once I grew up, like once I got through a few of these like weird relationships, I felt like I got a pretty good handle on like my worth, on like my value of time. I got a little cutthroat there for a while, which I would prefer to lean on that side than on the side of like,
Yeah.
what are we? And I was dating this guy and basically he was the good morning text guy.
Yeah.
And then one morning he texted me good morning. I was like, hey, this is the last time you'll ever hear from me.
Oh.
I don't like your form of communication style. I don't think you're consistent. Da 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 da. It's been really great getting to know you. Wish you nothing but the best. He was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was just so confused because he thought he was so consistent.
Yep.
When it came to like a morning text, I was like, you can set a timer on your phone and send this to 15 girls.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which people are
I'm
doing.
like,
I think that
good morning.
that kind of
That
goes
has
to like
nothing.
I feel like it can be confusing when culture's bar is so low that sometimes some guys I feel like they're intentionally doing it, but some guys like this, it sounds like unintentionally they're not really communicating and they think they're killing it because culture's bar is so low. So then it comes into they're doing just enough. So like for me personally, I'm like, here's this guy doing just enough, texting me just enough time, sliding up on just enough of my stories to where I'm like, oh my gosh, he's doing more than any other guy. But it's like the bare minimum.
No.
It's not
the bare
my
minimum,
bare minimum
trick of consistency to just keep them on your mind.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about you. No. Thoughts and prayers. That's not enough.
Nope.
I think, I want to say Sadie Robertson. I heard her say this, and this was like a shift for her. And this is mind-boggling. This is when you like shift from being like a girl to a woman when you think of relationships, because like toxicity, it feeds like a little crazy part of our brain. Like like the reality is it can be a little bit of fun,
Yeah.
the push and pull. I'm an artist. I love writing music. I love writing sad songs. I love
Yep.
listening and feeling certain music. Like, you know what I mean? It's just a certain thing that happens. You grow up when you realize that's not the father I want for my kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, that's where things switch over. Because it's like, yeah, it's all fun and games till he's an inconsistent father.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Until he says things about your body in front of your daughter. Till he, God forbid, says something about your daughter. Like, that's where everything just, like, kind of flips on its head a bit. And it's like, oh, this isn't fun.
Yeah.
Like, this actually, I've been playing with fire. This isn't something that I'd actually want in my life. And when you really get serious about like dating and about like who you're with, and you start to look at it from that kind of context, it really just changes your perspective. And it shows you like, I'm not going to take that. But I feel like that is the biggest switch that happens, is when you start to take like dating a little more seriously, is when you do think of it more of, okay, this isn't just how someone's going to treat me. This is how they're going to treat my kids. This is like the father that I'm marrying, which it's like, that just changes everything. And I feel like that is really a switch over. We actually did a little, I made a post earlier on Instagram.
yes. And you guys participated.
Yes, we love to see it. I was like, we're doing a girl chat episode. Guys, sorry if I like keep doing this. I'm not sick like Enoch, but I am fighting a little something. But if I have to cough, just give me grace. I feel like I've been doing pretty good until just now.
Great.
Yeah, you were doing great.
I was taking a lot of water sips, so you guys just need to jump in. But we did ask all of our girls to send in questions, or even like some scenarios that you're in that we can talk about.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into them now. I'm going to try to get to all of them. Some of them are super light. Some of them are super deep. We'll just kind of, and if you guys feel like you have a good word of knowledge for anything, if you have a prophetic word for any of
I'm
these,
like, I got a word.
I would love that. Just jump in. Okay, first one. How do you ignore and step away from temptation? Temptation as a whole, or I don't know if this is more specific on like certain kinds of temptation, but I feel like temptation is so human.
Yeah.
There's scriptures, and I believe it's in James, where it's like James 1, where it's like the Lord doesn't cause you to be tempted. Like that's like a humanity thing. Like the Lord doesn't tempt you. But in Romans 12:2, it says every day we're transformed by the renewing of our mind. And I feel like that's the biggest way to avoid temptations, and accountability and boundaries. Like the practical way of how do you avoid temptation is you feed the good things in you. You feed the good appetite in you for the things of God. Our pastor talked about on Sunday, if you're feeling like your desire for the Lord has gone down, like check your prayer life. So first step of this would be making sure you're praying, making sure you're feeding those things in you that are desiring good things, and it helps those temptations, those voices go down. It's like when you're on a diet. Like if you're on a diet, before you go on the diet and all you're eating is candy and cake and all these things, and then you go into it, now you're wanting sweets, and when you eat that protein bar, it's like, this tastes like trash. Because I've been having real chocolate. But then when you've been on the diet for a month, then you're like, oh man, this protein bar tastes like a candy bar. But it's when you start adding in that trash again, it's when your whole pendulum gets switched. Now you're back to thinking that that doesn't taste as good. So all that to say, having your appetite be a little bit different really helps. And then just avoid certain things. Temptation is very personal to who you are. Some people are tempted by certain things. Some people can't watch certain movies or listen to certain music. Know where your temptation lies and just avoid those things. And make sure the people around you are aware of that. That's where accountability comes in. If I'm like, Kayla, I love using diet references, obviously. If I'm like, Kayla, I want to get into this kind of shape by summer, and she sees me eating cake every day, she's gonna be like, hey, didn't you just tell me to keep you accountable for this? So having someone in your life who's like, hey, I know that you said that you've been struggling with pornography. I don't think you should be watching the TV shows that you have to fast forward through scenes. I don't think that that's actually where you can be at right now. I think you actually probably need to be looking at different things, and that's where you start to like change your tastes and help with temptation.
It's great.
But just an easy, light one. just get going.
Just light.
Let's see. Skincare routine.
Okay.
Maya, I feel like your skin is flawless.
Thank you.
Do you naturally have good skin?
So I did growing up, but when I went to college, I had this terrible acne scare.
Yeah.
And
A scare.
I literally went to the doctor, got like chemical grade stuff, burned off my skin.
Yeah, it was
and
bad.
it got worse.
You can imagine.
So I went back to, doing me. And that's when my skin, like this summer is when it's been like finally come back together.
Okay. Do you have any like
Can you
tips,
put us on?
tricks?
So anything fragrance free,
Fragrance.
all
Okay.
natural is better, but you don't need to like spend so much money. Like
That's good.
CeraVe is literally like everything. Like
Yep.
that
I know so many people who
moisturizer.
love CeraVe.
I love CeraVe.
But my favorite of the like face washes is they have like a hydrating cream one, and it's so good.
Okay.
And then exfoliating every day, but not with like the beads, like a chemical exfoliant.
Mm-hmm.
What chemical exfoliant to use?
So I use Paula's Choice.
Me too. That's my
That one is so good.
You guys, if you take away one thing from this podcast, this may be the golden nugget. Paula's Choice chemical exfoliant will change your whole life.
I do it every morning on a cotton pad, and literally my skin feels so good.
It will change everything.
Okay.
My skin is
I'm like, go ahead and send me the
skin
link.
is the best it's ever been in my whole life. Okay, keep going.
And then I would just say constantly hydrating your skin. Even if you think your skin is oily, it's probably just because you're not adding enough oil to it.
It's because you're dry
So
and you're
trying to
overproducing
overproduce, 'cause
oil.
I used to
Yes.
think I had oily skin. I actually
Yep.
have dry skin.
Yep.
If you think you have oily skin, you might, but like a lot of people just don't. Like you're not hydrating your face enough.
It's actually dry skin and it's an
Yes.
overproduction of oil.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I use
You're right on the money there.
hyaluronic acid is like my favorite, and
Okay.
it sounds scary, but it's literally so gentle on the skin, and it's like $6.
Okay.
So it's like
What do you use, the ordinary?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, I use this one thing that is expensive. It's like $98 for each thing,
Wow, she's rich.
but my mommy buys it for me. But,
Meanwhile,
What is it?
I'm like, meanwhile.
so one of it is like a booster. So
What
it's
is it called?
literally, True Botanicals.
Oh, I do have that as well. My mom.
So
She's like, if there's gonna be one thing, you guys are gonna have good skin. Okay.
yeah, so it's like the booster is like a powder, and it's niacinamide and biotin. And you pour the powder, and then you add drops of whatever serum. But I use like one of their serums. I don't even know what's in that serum. It's like a mix of a bunch of things.
Ordinary also has a good niacinamide.
Yes, it does. But this one, something about this one, like
Yeah.
my skin has like drastically changed.
Me too.
Wow.
So like that's the only product I'll ever like really invest in.
okay.
But also tip is that you probably need to change your skincare routine like every like year,
Yeah.
6 months. to a
Because your
year.
skin is constantly changing.
Yeah.
I will say that I've changed my skincare probably every 8 or months, so something like that.
Same.
And one thing that I have noticed for my skin, and I think that it's like the culture that we're in, where the access we have to TikTok, everybody's giving us different references. We're doing too much.
Yes.
Yep. 100%.
We're
Simple
doing
is better.
Too
Simple is better.
much. You guys, I don't even wash my face every day. That sounds crazy. I understand. When you have a chemical exfoliant,
Yeah.
it is already exfoliating your face.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing an exfoliation with the beads, which I have a BCA, HA something exfoliant that I use maybe twice a week. That when I'm like doing an everything shower, when I'm doing my hair wash day, I'll do that guy. I'll do a little scrubby, and I'm like, get off anything, especially if it's like summer and
Yeah.
your skin is
Yeah.
dry, and God forbid you're doing like a little peel moment somewhere. It helps you just get rid of all the dead skin, get rid of all of that, get a good cleaning out. But you don't need to be like over cleansing your face.
Yes. Because you're
So-
stripping it.
You're
Yep.
stripping it of everything that's naturally good, like your natural skin is going to create. You just want to make sure that you're not getting too dry, so you're not overproduction of oil. So I love that, like Paula's Choice eats.
Yes.
So good. And then I do the Laneige milky toner,
Okay.
and it's like a hydrating
That's
toner.
like a road dude.
I
think.
I also have seen that one too. It's way better than the Road one.
That's what I've heard, because the road one, I had it and I didn't love it.
See, I would agree. So the Laneige one is like,
Good to know.
she hydrates everything.
Oh my
She
gosh,
feels
I'm like,
amazing.
I'm going to Sephora after this.
And sometimes I actually don't use my Paula's Choice every single day.
Me
You can
neither.
use it up to 2 times a day, but you want it when you read like the directions, you start by using it like once to twice a week. You have
Yeah,
to
you have
build
to
your
build
skin's
it.
tolerance up to it.
Yeah.
But I use that toner every day.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. everything I put on my face from besides the Paula's Choice is going to be hydrating because I just want to make sure my skin looks like glass. And then from there, I'll do like a pretty thick moisturizer. Honestly, I stand by all Laneig's moisturizers. They're good. So hydrating. They're good. Especially their water bank moisturizer. It's like a Korean skin type moisturizer, which like Korean skincare products,
top tier.
I hear they're the best of the best.
Incredible. Like chef's kiss. But especially during summer, that like water bank moisturizer, I keep it in the fridge. And like after you get out in the sun, put that guy on. Oh my gosh. Skin is so soft. Also, always rub your moisturizer on your hands. So like put it on your face and then rub all your excess all over your hands because your hands age like your face does. So keeping it moisturized, all the things.
Too. Last thing I would say, sunscreen.
I was going to say that.
Sunscreen is so important, and it is so hard to find the right one, especially as a girl with melanin. So let me just say, the La Roche-Posay, any of their sunscreens work so good. And then anyone that's
no white cast,
and then Supergoop is like good. I don't love them, but they work for some people. I think it's just based on your skin type.
Yeah, people love Supergoop. But I like the when I'm doing my makeup, I like the Glossier sunscreen actually. It's very light, and then it's 30 SPF. And then when I'm like going out in the sun, I like Kula. They're all natural organic sunscreen. I actually use that all over my body as well. The Kula little spray one, and they have a little bottle. Love their stuff.
Love it.
But anyway, there's a lot of lot of tea.
I literally made a list in my head.
There's a lot of tea. But I just feel like every time I'm on TikTok, I'm seeing a new skincare product and I like fell for it. Even like what you're saying, like that other like milky whatever. I'm like, oh, let me try that. Just try it. I'm like, no.
Just stick to what you know.
Stick to what you love. And just because it's like a brand that's not like the ooh right now.
Yep. Right. Like CeraVe, I will literally use it for the rest of my life.
I'll use it till I die.
Like it doesn't matter if it looks aesthetic. The other day I got these like super aesthetic shampoos.
Oh, have you seen like the Bioma face stuff? It's like in like literally square like containers, and they're different like colors, like neon colors. They look so good, but like I don't know if they work.
No, I think there's so many cute little skincare stuff, and it's like I want the whole same brand. I want everything to look. It's like doesn't always work out that way. My face wash is so ugly. Like I got it from my dermatologist. Like,
I have one of those too, and it's
she's not a cute girl, but as she works, she's not that even
that's
that
like
expensive.
my shampoo that I use. It's from the dermatologist, and I'm just like looking at it, I'm like, you know, it's sitting on your little bathroom counter, and you're like, where's the pizzazz? Where's the color?
Like, and it's like, let that go. Let the aesthetic.
Yeah.
The better aesthetic is that you look good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
Anyway, we can keep rolling. It's like we talk about temptation for 35 seconds, talked about skincare 45 minutes.
It's so important though.
It really is.
And it changes your makeup too.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say.
It's like the foundation of makeup.
My sister worked in skincare. My sister worked in makeup for like 15 years. And this is something because my sister has really, really good skin. And everybody would always be like, what do you use? What products do you use? She's like, stop investing in your makeup if you're not investing in your skincare, period.
Yep.
Don't buy the Dior blush if you're spending 45 cents on your face wash. You're wearing Dior blush?
Yeah, I'm wearing Dior blush right now, just so you guys know. But the cherry color.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, if you shift your investments a little bit, you'll realize like you don't need foundation anymore. Like you don't need a base that you thought you did. All those things. Anyway, invest more in your skincare and then it's great. It's also summer. Like nobody wants to be wearing all that. Okay. Guys, we really went in on that question. And I love that for us. Kayla, you want to answer a question?
Yeah, I'm down.
As a Christian girly, how do you deal with abstinence? That's a good one.
That's a great one. I'd say growing up, I feel like whenever you hear about it, I thought it was going to be so easy. Because I'm like,
really?
I'm like, oh my gosh, like I don't like when you've never like really liked someone for real, or you're like, I'm like in my early teens, I'm like, I just don't get it, man. I don't see why it's so hard for everyone.
I
And
was
then-
the classic girl who just dated guys that I wasn't attracted to. It was
Yeah, and I'm like,
I'm such a good Christian. I'm not tempted at all.
there's no
What does that mean?
temptation. I'm like, there's no attraction. I think the first thing is I'm glad someone asked this question because it is something to like actually talk about. Like, I feel like you can get in the church world and you're at church and you're, for connect groups and for service and you're serving and it's like, oh, I can't have that, that feeling. Like it feels like
It's not a bad feeling to have.
Yeah.
It's natural.
it's very natural.
It's healthy.
I'd say it's very natural. I think it can be hard. I feel like there is levels. So when we talk about like boundaries and accountability, like everyone, you kind of know like what you can handle, if that makes sense. And I feel like it's good to have your accountability person know kind of like what you can handle as well. Some people can handle kissing, some people can't. You know what I mean? Like it
Sure.
could be a kind of like a gateway. For me personally,
There's gray and then there's black and white.
yeah. And for me, everything in my world, I feel like is super gray because I'm like, okay, like, oh, I'm fine. Like, oh, I'm out with someone. Like, it's totally fine. And you think all is well until you go out with the person that's like the embodiment of everything you've ever dreamed. And you're just like, maybe I'm not as strong as I thought I was.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's where accountability comes in. Here's the thing. Everybody's capable of anything.
Yep.
This is where that like I was so, this is so funny. There's this guy that I grew up with and we were on like a church staff together, and I'll never forget, he would always like talk about how he's like waiting till marriage and like he was so holier than thou
Yep.
and like everything.
Yep.
And I was always like, you've never dated anybody.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
You're
stop.
like-
I was like, stop doing that to everyone. And then he dated someone, and that was a tough time. And here's what I'll say is like, I used to always think like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at it. I'm so good at being pure.
Yeah.
And I literally think I was just dating people I wasn't attracted to. And then
100%.
once like I started like, I'll never forget the first guy I dated that I was like so attracted to. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had to put strict boundaries in
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
And I'm like, guys, one thing I actually love, your guys' dad said this, I think at the singles night. When you're dating someone, that is the time where you're going to see how they're going to be faithful in marriage.
Yeah.
Because that's the only time you're going to see them wait to
Yep.
have sex.
Yep.
Because God forbid you're separated from your spouse for a week for like a trip, or a family member gets sick. They have to go take care of their mom. You got to see how good they are at self-control
Yep.
when you're
Wow.
dating.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, this is the time that I'm going to see that you're good with self-control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of just changed a lot of perspective for me too. Cause I was like, I do want to see that this is something that like, you don't need to gratify your flesh like
Yeah.
that. This is both a desire for both of us.
Yeah.
We both want this to happen. That's normal. That's human. But what you're saying to like, okay, I have friends who are like, I can't kiss the person that I'm marrying until we're at the altar. And I'm like, and if that's your story,
That's your story,
if
that's
you
you.
know that to you kissing immediately leads to sex, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, just wait.
Yeah.
It saves so much. There is such a freedom in waiting
Yeah.
Yeah.
and such a like a lightness to it. And if you haven't waited, start right now. Decide right now. You and your partner sit down. Hey, maybe you're listening to this and you and your partner are living together right now. I know so many people who have been in that situation and then they got convicted and they're like, you know what? We're going to move out. We're going to do things right. We're going to go about this the right way. And then we're going to
Yep.
get married and then we'll live together again.
Yeah.
And I think that there's so much restoration in that.
I think
Yeah.
communication is also a big piece. So I feel like I obviously communicate with like my accountability. I know Anna's one of them, like other people I have in my life, but also like with that partner. Because I feel like if you have your boundaries, that's only going to take you so far if they have none.
Yeah.
And so it's like I try to, kind of gauge in like the early dating, like, okay, I kind of see like not asking the direct questions, but like, how is he acting towards me? Like, is he being like suggestive? Is like, and then when it does come up time to like talk about it, I love for it to be someone who like is on the same page as me, or even say that for them, like for me, it could be, let's turn it around. For me, I could be like, oh, I'm fine with kissing. And they could be like, no, I can't kiss.
Yeah,
because that's
know
just gonna
their
lead
limits
to
too.
something else. And I'm like, oh, so that's his limit. So, okay, I'm going to come like alongside his limit because I want what's best for the both of us, which would
And
be
it's like,
best.
maybe
Yeah.
you guys can't go to the pool together.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, saying that, and if this part of this podcast was clipped and put on TikTok, we're crazy, right? Like, we're the crazy ones.
Yep.
We have to stop thinking that Christian culture is going to line up with the current culture in our world. That does not, it's not okay. Like, yes, it's going to sound crazy to people who don't see things through the lens of Jesus, who don't see things through the lens of scripture. Like, that is just baseline.
Yeah.
So if your friend's like, that's so crazy, you can't go to the pool with your boyfriend. Yeah, sorry, that's where we draw the lines there.
Yep. I know for 100% that there was someone in my past that it's like, if I went to the pool with them, I would have been cooked.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
but it's like, that's just, there's just certain things that it's okay. It's, you don't want to stand at the door of temptation.
Yep.
Like, you don't want to just like creep up next to it. Oh, we're not sinning, but we're towing the line. It's like, don't do it.
I'd rather stay as far from the line.
Yeah,
as
it's like
possible.
just,
and it's always it could be different, you know, with different situations. I know, like, I was seeing someone, like, I guess it was like 2 years ago, where it was like we were out late and I was like totally
what was
fine.
her name? I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I put him on blast. We were out pretty late and I was like totally fine. Honestly, I wasn't thinking anything like that, versus recently I was like, I have to be home by 10. I'm like, the later it got, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, like my inhibitions, like I'm kind of losing it.
Nothing good happens after 10 p.m. That's what my parents taught me. And it's real.
I was always taught after midnight. It was like the dark hours after midnight. But yeah, it's, you learn that accountability is so safe.
Yeah.
And I promise you, it's always worth it.
Yeah.
You don't like get married, being on the other side of being married, you don't like regret not towing the line. I literally, me and Enoch were talking about this today, and because I was reading through some of these questions, and we were talking about like our relationship and like purity, and I was like, what are some of the suggestions you have to keep pure relationship? He made a joke. He's like, be long distance. Because like we were long distance for so much of it. So we didn't have the opportunity as often. And I was like, you really think that played into it? He was like, no, I think that it was just like we knew what we wanted and like the finish line. And once you just see something as like, this is the goal. Like this is the goal for us to, when you, here's something, I saw another question, and I'll kind of piggyback onto this one. How should I know when a relationship is from God, even if there's no red flags? I'm going to take this a different route, and then we'll get to the actual question. But you can have something that's given to you from God, and inviting sin into it invites like a question, and it puts a downcast on something that the Lord actually designed to be good.
Wow.
And I think that that's where, like with me and Enoch, knowing that our relationship was from the Lord, it was like we didn't want that. Knowing that we both hear from the Lord, that we have a relationship with Holy Spirit, and we have conviction of Holy Spirit. If we did something that crossed the line, we know that conviction is going to be invited into, and sometimes it clouds what's good. Yeah. Like we don't want our time together to be like, oh man, I feel bad, like I feel convicted, I feel like we have like this like thing that we want to hide, like that's something we didn't want. That we wanted to keep everything like above board because it was so pure, and that's just something to fight for that. And when it comes to in a relationship of like, okay, how do I know if this is just good or God? John Bevere wrote a book on is it good or God? Incredible book. I read that when I was previously engaged because I was like, is this good or God? This is going to be the most annoying answer. You do know when you know, which is so unfortunate.
But the truth is, anyone I've ever asked, like, oh, how did you know? It's everyone says the same thing. They're like, you just know when you know.
Yeah.
You do really know when you know. And I hate that. I will say, if you're a constant overthinker, because there is a bit of, I remember when I was engaged before, I was like asking everybody, like, are they the one? Are they the one? Are they the one? They weren't, because I was asking everybody that. Secondly, it's great to get advice in a multitude of counsel, like people who know your heart, people who know the dreams inside of your heart. Yeah. Like if Kayla's coming to me and it's like, is this of the Lord? Like, I don't know. I feel confused. Like, I can point her back to Jesus and have her like sit with the Lord with that. But I can also be like, you know, Kayla, I know that this was a dream inside your heart, was that the person that you loved the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
and this person doesn't seem to love the Lord. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel
It's like the little
there's
things like
some
that,
things
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's great. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge believer of it, and maybe I'm the crazy delusional one, but I do think the Lord meets the desires of your heart.
Yep.
Mm.
And I don't believe in settling.
Yeah.
I don't at all. So that's just all of that. I hope that encouraged you. And even if there's no red flags, you'll know. I mean, there was a guy that I dated, and he was good, and would have had a pretty nice life, and he would have been really sweet to me. He would have hung the moon for me.
Mm-hmm.
And he just I wasn't excited in our relationship.
Yeah.
And I was just like, well, maybe this is it. Like, I run from peace. I like toxicity. Maybe that's what it was. And I was like, no, I just didn't like him a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was like coming from a scarcity mindset of like, what if there's no one else and he treats me good enough?
Yeah.
Don't pick the guy who treats you good enough.
Yep.
Don't
Cannot stress enough.
like be in love with your partner.
Yeah.
Because there are times in life that are going to really rock you. And you don't want to be with the person that was just good enough.
Yeah. I would say to piggyback off that, even if you're like in a situation where there might be like some beige flags, you're like, oh,
Sure.
there's these things, but you're like, I've never felt this way before. Like, I've just never had this like insane attraction or this insane connection. It's like, and then that doesn't work out. It can sometimes feel like I'll never get that feeling again. Someone told me like literally this week, they were like, if you thought that was like so incredible, you can't even like think or imagine how incredible it's going to be when you meet like the one that God has for
It's
you.
true.
Yeah.
And so what you may think, I was in love with him. It's like when you really do fall in love, you're going to be like, did I even like him?
Yeah. That put to rest kill the fairy tales.
Yeah.
Kill all the fairy tales of like, oh man, it'll never be like this again. I'll never meet some. It's not true. Like the Lord only calls, it goes against scripture to say that, because if the Lord takes us from faith to faith, strength to strength, glory to glory, it means there's only better.
Yep.
Means we
Yeah.
don't go down.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's like, oh man, I missed it and now I hit rock bottom. That's not how the Lord works. Let's read more questions. Guys, I don't know how much time we're into this because our camera has been overheating a little bit. Hot here in Dallas. Let's see. Do you struggle with body image? If so, how do you cope? Doesn't everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Me.
I don't think everyone in our, okay, think of the most beautiful, confident person you could ever imagine struggles with body image. I think that is just like the human experience. It's the female experience.
Yeah.
And I will never forget like realizing this when I was growing up, because I did think that there were some girls, I'm like, you're so perfect, you never like ever think anything about yourself. And it's like, oh man, no, we all
do.
We all get like that. Of course, I struggle with body image. Ways that I cope with it, I don't surround myself with people who rip themselves to shreds.
Yeah.
That's a massive thing. It's contagious.
Yeah.
Body image, hatred, or self-love is so contagious.
Yep.
And
That's good.
that doesn't mean like cut all your friends off who are picking their body to shreds, but bring it to the table of, hey guys, what if we all went 30 days and we didn't say something negative about our bodies?
Yep.
Challenge your group, call them higher. Watch how like your perspective will start to change towards yourself. Be so much more kind and loving to yourself. Your body wakes you up in the morning, walks you to your car, gets you to work, helps you have motion, you have breath inside your lungs. Fall in love with the unique things about yourself. If there are things on social media that make you feel insecure, mute them.
Social media is literally so fake. Like, I can say this as
It's
someone
such a
who's
lie.
slightly fake on social media.
Oh.
Because I will post a picture.
Maya's part of the problem.
I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I will post a picture of myself and be like, I'm so ugly, but I know like people are gonna like this and people are gonna slide up, and then I'll feel confident again. Like, it's literally, there's layers to it, but like I also
yeah,
feel
you
like,
hit on something big there.
Yeah.
because like social media is
She's
literally
like,
just a highlight reel. Like, I'm sorry, like it's not real.
You guys, it is like everybody breaks out. Everybody gets stretch marks.
Yep.
Everybody has those. I just want to say that no matter if you're weigh the most, weigh the least. You're in the middle. Best shape of your life. Just had a baby. Just had a C-section. It's falling in love with the things that your body has gone through and like the strength of it. Maybe you just lost 100 pounds and you have loose skin. What an honor.
Yeah.
What a badge of honor.
Good.
That you have that like loose skin, that your body got to go through all of that you're crossing these like lines that you never thought you could cross before, that you're like, I think all of those things, and just learning the difference of what society like celebrates versus like, man, you have a strong body. If you want to change your body and to not make it as emotional. Like I think when I was younger, my weight was so emotional. It was like, all my value's in this, all my worth's in this. Nobody likes me because I'm overweight, all those things. And it was, everything about weight became emotional, and it became really unhealthy for me because then I tried to make it to where I like over accepted like a really unhealthy version of my body, opposed to being like, hey, there's things like, I was really out of breath when I'd walk around and like all those things. And I needed to improve my health. But for some reason, I put my beauty in my weight, and those just don't equate.
Yes.
That there's not like, my worth wasn't in my weight. And learning that like I wanted a healthier version of my body. And that didn't mean that the body that I was currently in wasn't loved or beautiful.
I'd say I can really relate to that, because like right now I feel like I love myself the most I may have ever loved myself. And I am on a journey of like, I'm trying to work out more, I'm trying to eat better, but it's not necessarily because I like don't love how I look. I'm just trying to be healthier. But it's like, so I may not, and instead I'm like not working out and then like running to the scale to be like, oh, did I see any change? I'm more like now kind of basing my changes on, I'm like, man, I went up the steps and I didn't feel as winded, or man, I just feel better. My stomach, I mean, anyone can relate. My stomach doesn't hurt every morning. It's like,
and I think that I don't even think the scale is like a good measure of how healthy you are. Cause like you could weigh more and be healthier, like in a healthier state.
It's very real.
Than you have been. Like, are you drinking more water? Are you eating better?
Because
let
me tell you guys,
like that, does your skin look clearer? Like, your waist can be snatched and you still weigh the same.
That's true.
And because let me tell you guys, drinking more water will change a lot of things about you.
Your skin, your skincare.
But it changed my body. Like one day I was like, man, am I gaining more weight? I'm just so bloated, I feel like. But I had drank one of these in like 20 minutes. And I'm like, of course I'm a little more bloated. Oh my gosh, my feet shrunk a whole shoe size. That's me right now. But like, because I'm so hydrated, I'm not bloated. My feet aren't like chubbing up. It's like,
chubbing up is crazy. But I do just want to say that you're not alone in struggling with your body image. Don't hate yourself for having that struggle. That's everybody. Remind yourself that, the Bible says we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Though we're dark, the Lord calls us lovely. Like, though we say we're poor, He says that we're beautiful. Like, those are things, it's like, that's a really natural progression of us to think like, oh man, is there a mistake? There's no mistake in making you. But who you're surrounding yourself with and how they talk about their body is really important. And I do want to say, if you're in a relationship with someone who is constantly saying negative things about your image or your body, that's not okay. And that's something that needs to be addressed, either by a mentor in their life that needs to correct them in that. You can also bring it up to them, but sometimes it takes someone outside party. And then if that doesn't help, I would separate myself from them. Because man, there are so many times in my life that I just had a significant other that was saying things when 100 people would tell me at a conference, you're so beautiful. And I would go back and the person that I love the most would tear me down. It set the tone for me. I thought he was the only person that was being honest with me. And that's not the truth. So that's something too. I'm so sorry for anybody who's experiencing that. And know that that's not okay and that's not normal. It's different when you have a spouse who's like, hey, let's start working out together. That's not an attack. It's different when someone is directly saying things about your image and is trying to tear you down. And there's a huge difference in that. Okay, let's keep going. We're addressing a lot of things here.
Love it.
Favorite beauty products lately. I think we touched on a lot of those.
I'll throw in topicals. If you're someone who likes like a thick,
you like the same?
No, I'm going to be sponsored by Laneige one day. Literally, mark my words. This is literally
so good. Everything Laneige.
Like this. Okay, the lip glowy balm is good, but the sleeping mask is good too.
passionate.
I'm sorry.
She loves it.
It's good.
I love it. I love all things Laneige.
Yeah. Topicals, if you're like someone like, I like my lips to just always look glossy, and I like it to feel like thick on there, like it's not gonna go away. I really recommend. It's very addicting though. I need a new one. I've had this one for like 2 months, so I'm gonna say topicals for sure.
I put her
My
on.
cat just came running in here. Yeah, Paula's choice, like we said before.
Summer Fridays.
Summer Fridays is good. I will say that like beauty products, anything blush. Cream blush. This is cream blush summer.
Maybe I need
also,
to get a blush.
I think it's the Too Faced. I want to say it's Too Faced, like chocolate bronzing stick. It's like a contour
I've
stick.
heard of that. It smells like chocolate, right?
It smells exactly like chocolate. She melts into the skin. Like I said, I don't want to wear any foundation this summer. I'm doing like Kosas concealer.
Yes, that's my favorite.
Makeup by Mario, little blush stick.
Yeah.
Just on the cheeks. Blush me up. I always want like a million things of blush.
Me too.
A little bit of bronzer if I'm doing a little bit more. And I'm loving a little shimmer on the eyes.
I love that.
I'm like, I was a matte girly for the
I love a little
longest.
shimmer. If you're looking for like a good body glitter, Fenty has a good body glitter. I'm
Fenty.
wearing it daily. Also, if you are looking like, you're like, oh, I want a good like foundation, Fenty foundation is just like, it feels like I'm like putting on like a light lotion.
She has the largest shade range too,
yeah.
right?
And the shade, like my shade that I have is, I've never seen something more exact to my skin.
Shout out to Fenty.
I would say my biggest life hack is Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, because it's not foundation, but it still kind of gives you like a glow from within look, and it's tinted, so like you get like that little bit of coverage.
Yeah.
It eats.
Sorry guys, I'm like chewing my nails off. Exactly what I said I didn't want to do. I'm like, it's fine. Okay, keep going. What are some physical boundaries that you put in place when long distance help assist out? I mean, I feel like we just talked about that. Big thing when you're long distance, don't sleep at each other's houses.
Yeah.
When you're in town with each other, find somewhere else for them to stay. Make sure that the person that they're staying with is not like, we left the door unlocked, that they're like checking in on you guys, those kinds of things.
That's good.
It really just helps, because long distance is hard. You want to go on like trips together, have other people there. Don't, you know what I mean? Just like certain things, because there's such a rush of emotion. Like when you see the person you haven't seen in so long, you just want to squeeze them till they're juice. But just have like, have the appropriate boundaries in place. Don't talk about anything inappropriate over the phone. That's a big one.
That's a good one. I feel like no one talks about enough.
No, that's a big one, because you can cross lines that way too. Amen.
Amen.
But okay, let's see. What did preparation look like for Forward Conference? Oh, love that. Preparation as far as spiritually, I get the whole team in a group chat weeks and weeks before, and we start praying over the things that we feel like the Lord's putting on our heart for the conference. For me, same thing. Start to pray over what the set list looks like. I start to worship with it. I think we changed the set list for Forward up until the day of. Things like that stay pretty moldable. I also like to sit in all the sessions leading up to my session, just see like what the Lord's doing in the conference. Preparation, vocal exercises, those kinds of things. I'm trying to think of all of the different kinds of logistical preparation. My music director and my vocal director, they work with the whole band and singers. I don't have to advance too much of that. They kind of take care of all that and work through all the logistics. But I mainly hone in on the spiritual side and the set creation and all those things. I hope that made sense. That was kind of pretty quick. I'm trying to knock some things out. Do you want to be best friends? Of course. Are you kidding me? Advice for transitioning from engagement to marriage. Plan the marriage. Don't plan the wedding. That was a huge one. When you're in that season of engagement, it's like all things bridal, which is so fun. And like buying the dress and all those things. And some really great advice that I had from our premarital was, so many people prep for the wedding and they don't prep for the marriage. So just making sure that you're putting in those foundations to kind of get ready for that. It's so fun. The transition is so fun. Keep your purity throughout it, even though you know that's your person. You know that's who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. Wait for your wedding night. Like, save it. If you may be like, oh, we didn't until now. Start now. Wait until you get married. It makes it so fun. Like, the transition from engagement to marriage is so much fun. Okay. More questions on skincare routine, so I'm glad that we touched that one. I'm like skipping over some of them. So sorry. Best way to find community after moving. My sister just moved, and we were talking on the phone about this for a while.
Yeah.
Serve somewhere.
Yep.
When you get out of school, it's like an adult. Finding friendship is so different.
It's like the craziest thing.
The best thing you can do is go serve with somebody. Join a church. Join a connect group. Get in community that way. And I would say that I take it a step further by saying serving, because you can be in a community group and still like feel like you're not connecting. But when you're like serving together and you're in the trenches with someone and you're doing something that you're building that's outside of yourself together with somebody else, I really feel like that creates big bonds. And it's like, if you decided to join the coffee bar because you love coffee, then the other person who joined the coffee bar also loves coffee, and it's like, now you guys have some shared interests, and then you start talking about it. Or it's like, I joined the worship team because I like to sing, so now I'm around people who like to sing, so you also have like shared interests. There's also like a huge new thing is like run clubs, things like that in
Dallas
cities.
Run clubs. I wish I ran.
You're preaching to the choir right now, because I just moved to Dallas and I don't have any friends. So if you want to be my friend, you guys can hit me up.
Aren't you going to be here for like a month longer and then you're going back to school in Florida?
Unfortunately.
She's like, I just moved here.
She's like, if you want a friend for 2 weeks.
Around Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you'll be here. Like, how long do you graduate?
3 years, but I'm unfortunately done after this year, maybe semester. So.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah. Like, somebody in the family's got to get a degree.
Okay. Some more questions. How to deal with feeling like you aren't pretty enough for a relationship.
Wow.
I'm so sorry that you feel that way. That is so not the truth. That is not the truth. And I also there was another question in here when it was like, I really desire to be married, but I feel like people aren't asking me out. Is it something to do with me? There's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
I saw this TikTok the other day and I was like, woo, it's like shouting this girl down. Being in a relationship is not a badge of I'm more worthy than someone else. That is not, sometimes it's literally time and space. Sometimes it's literally, there's just someone in your sphere that you like enough to want to be in a relationship with. But that doesn't make you any less beautiful than another girl. It doesn't make you any less worthy than someone else. Sometimes it's just happenstance where you meet someone and it's amazing, or you're just in a season of life where it's like, all right. And so that, first of all, is not the truth. You're so beautiful. I'm looking at you. You are.
Yeah.
And I would just say that cancel all those. Those are lies of the enemy. It's not the truth. And then to tie into that other question too, if you feel like nobody's asking you out, I don't feel like it's wrong to put yourself out there. I had to put myself out there with Enoch. Okay, you guys. I knew that if I didn't give him some sort of green light that he thought he could never be with me. So I'm like, in situations like that, I'm like, do I think that you need to do the pursuing? No. But I do think that you can position yourself to be available.
Yeah. I would say I can kind of relate to that also on the like not feeling pretty enough, or like, wait, where are the men? They're not like asking me out. I used to feel like that, and I feel like I've said this before on the podcast, but it's one of my like life statements is I just kept telling myself, okay, I'm reminding myself who I am in Christ. I know who I am. I know that I'm beautiful. And when I was at my most confident, I feel like it wasn't even like I changed my physical appearance or anything like that, but someone came into my life and I'm like, and I was thinking over here like, man, they seem way out of my league, to be honest. But then I realized, no, they're not. Like, I'm just so confident, and confidence is attractive. Like, I personally look for, when I'm like looking for a guy, I'm like, oh, he's so confident. Like, I really like that. But I feel like it can go both ways. Like, people can sense when you're like confident and they're like, man, like that's really like, confidence is beautiful.
It really is. It really, really is. Okay, we have so many more questions. I'm going to try to keep going through them.
Yeah.
I don't know how long we're going yet, but
It's
you know what?
7:15.
Our last podcast have been kind of short. This one's going to be longer. It's a girl talk.
Yeah.
We're going to yap.
Yeah,
Okay?
like, that's like that that I think it's the Amanda show. It's like girls' room. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they're like in the bathroom.
Yeah, love it. It's literally us right now. And it's like you could I feel like Enoch's gonna walk in here in like an hour and be like, shut up.
It's like I'm not editing all this.
He's like, police.
I told him he's gonna love this episode.
Oh, one of the questions, can a girl make a first move? I think you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do think you can.
100%.
I don't think you should carry the ball over the line.
Yeah, don't make that
That makes
mistake.
sense.
That's my mistake.
You can totally make the first move. You can be like, I like you. I don't think that's wrong to say at all.
Mm-mm.
But then the ball's in their court.
Yeah.
Yep.
They get to plan the dates. They get to so like I talk about with me and Enoch, because my friend Todd, shout out to Todd Galworth. I remember we like went over to his house for dinner and he was like, if you don't, he's like, the way that you talk and position yourself, he thinks he never has a chance with you. I'm like, shut up, you don't know what you're talking about. Because I was like, why didn't you just try to kiss me yet? And he was like, he thinks he could never be with you. You're gonna have to like show him that you like him.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's so stupid. And he was like, no, you have to. And so I feel like I did. I went outside of myself to show him that I liked him. And then I was like, from then on, it's all you.
Yeah.
And then he ran with it. Once he knew, it was
All
like,
the way to the finish line.
lock it down. So I feel like it's not bad to make the first move.
Maya's taking notes. She's like,
Jesus.
I'm plotting now.
I'm screaming. Advice on how to end a relationship that is toxic, but you still love them very much. I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. That is a very real thing that happens for so many of us. I have been in so many relationships that have been toxic, and I still felt so much love for that person. Loving that person the best is loving yourself the best as well. And I say this all the time. God's best for you is God's best for the other person as well. So if there's a thought in your mind about what's going to happen to them, the Lord's going to take care of them as you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is a dating relationship. If it's a marital relationship, obviously you want to seek help. You want to do all that you can. If there's a moment of separation that needs to happen and you guys need to seek professional help, totally invest in that. If you're just dating, it's probably good to go ahead and break up.
Yeah.
Separate. There's better for you out there. I feel like so many times, like leaving toxic relationships, even in my own life, it was like, what if there's nobody else? I promise you there's somebody else. I promise you there's someone that's going to love you in the ways that you want to be loved. And leaving relationships like that is super tough. Drawing boundaries of not going back, getting into counseling, identifying why you want to be in a relationship that's hurtful to you, will really be eye-opening. And then it's just like being around, get some good girls around you. Like I said, join a group at your church, be around girls, find those girls that are going to be like, text you every morning. Hey, did you guys talk? If this is something that you habitually keep going back to, just having girls with you in place that are like, hey, help me. I don't want to keep going back to something that's actually hurting me. I hope that made sense. I'm trying to get through these. We answered that one. You guys can answer this one. What does it look like to be a healthy woman of God? Kayla?
That's a great one. For me personally, I feel like it looks like being in the Word of God. I feel like having my time with Jesus every single day, not only like reading the Bible, but my time in prayer. Sometimes I just sit with worship music, just like being with him. I think it is having good relationships with others. I think being the kindest I can be. Staying planted in church. I feel like that's a big one. I feel like sometimes people can, you can always hear, well, I'm a Christian, I don't need to go to church, but I feel like church is such a vital piece. And not just for like to say, oh, I went to church and I listened to a sermon. Obviously you need that like pastoring from a pastor, but I think worshiping in community, corporate worship, and also just being in like relational community with people, like Anna was saying, serving on a team, being in a group. I feel like all those things play into me being a godly woman, and also just you're around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean?
And even to like the healthy piece, you're like, what does it look like to be a healthy woman of God? Lifting up other women.
Yep.
Yeah.
Supporting other women. I think that that's like that healthy side of things. Health is fruit. So if you're embodying fruits of the spirit, you're long suffering, patient, kind, full of joy, full of kindness. Like I just think about all of those things that embodies, like, to me, what a woman of God is, pushing other people forward.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that is a beautiful thing that we get to have as women, is that not only do we get to create other humans, which is insane, but we get to help, like, cultivate. What are you looking at?
Because she started humming and singing while you were mid-speech.
Oh, no.
Speech is crazy.
No, the fruits of the spirit, I was just thinking, because you got to have love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness.
All right.
Gentleness.
You guys get it.
Control.
Anyway, we get to be midwives for other ladies in the spirit and in the real life. Anyway.
Love it.
Next question. How to find your girl gang. I think that's what it says, gag, but I think you're talking about gang. I think that things, we talked about friendships changing in life. That might change and shift. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I would say that that's something, be at peace, that it will shift around and it could look different at different times. But I do really feel like, maybe we're beating this dead horse in the ground, but you really do find, like, your best community in church. I genuinely feel that way.
I mean,
agree.
that's where I feel like I've met some of my best friends. And also, I would say, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Like, I'm going to this Connect group and I have to meet they said you meet your best friends in groups. Like, I have to meet them here. It's like, when I first got here, I think I was in almost every Connect group on the site, to be honest, that I could be in. And I went to one and I was like, oh, this is just not going to be, it didn't click. And I'm like, that's fine.
You'll find your people.
Yeah.
Would you recommend counseling? I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also recommend Christian counseling.
Immediately.
I think that if you are not getting counseled by someone who sees life through the lens that you live your life from, it may not make sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Christian counseling, I do highly suggest. I know both of you would as well, because you both have gone through counseling.
Yes.
Shout out to our counselors.
Shout out Dr. Carol.
I love Carol.
Shout out Dr. Turner.
How did you and your husband have the money talk before you got married?
Ooh,
right
that's
after we
a great
kissed,
question.
I asked him his credit score and I asked him if he was in any massive amounts of debt.
Incredible.
We love a straightforward woman.
Listen, I had this mentor when I was, like, really young, and she was like, find out the credit score of who you're going to be with before you get married. I think she was, like, dealing with some things with her husband. I think she was just frustrated at that moment. I was God. But I don't think it has to be taboo. I think that's like, I'm very open about things like that. I don't think you have to be like, here's how much money I make, blah, 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 blah. But I do think that I have never not been with someone because they haven't made, or they did make a certain amount of money, but I have not been with someone before because their perspective on money. Poverty mindsets, that's really tough. And it's something that you have to definitely work through. I'm a very generous person. So I wanted to know that the person that I'm going to be with is really generous. But I don't think it has to be. I mean, I obviously was like, right out of the gate, I want to know these certain things. But you can obviously wait. I think getting those things out, like, in front of those things in the beginning, is probably easier than finding out that, like, the person you're madly in love with is in massive amounts of debt. And it's like, okay, that's going to be inherited. Like, we're going to have to deal with that together. Credit scores are easily fixable. So I was like, do you have a bad credit score? Because I can start helping you with that.
Yep.
So things like that. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I think that patterns are a pretty big deal. And if it's something that, because one of the most common reasons, I think the number one reason for divorce is sex, if I'm wrong. And the second one is money, or it could be reversed, but it's in, like, the top
wouldn't be surprised.
3 is finances. So that's something that's definitely really real that you want to work through. What is the most real piece of advice you have gotten as a woman in ministry?
Wow.
I feel like all of us should answer this.
Oh, okay.
What is the most real piece of advice you've gotten as a woman in ministry. Man, that's I mean, I feel like I could take this so many different ways. I would say that, oh my gosh, I really could answer this like 5 different ways. One of the most real pieces of advice I would say is not to view myself as lesser because I'm a woman in ministry. I know that feels like really baseline.
Yeah.
But I felt like for a long time as a worship leader, I had to have a male counterpart when I would lead because that was just like what needed to happen. And the Lord was like, no, you can run with your own ministry without needing all of that. And I just got to come up behind incredible women in ministry. Like Tasha Cobbs Leonard, I'll forever like give her flowers on that. Such a strong woman, surrounded herself with so many other strong women. She gave me endless amounts of advice. And the reality is there are still there's so many walls that have been broken down for all of us that we don't have to, but there's still walls that we're going to have to break down for women behind us. And some of the most real advice that I've gotten is just to make room for other women. Especially in the worship space. We just don't occupy as much when it comes to being a woman in ministry. I mean, if you look at like classically like a record from like a church, there would be 10 songs and 2 of them would be led by a girl. So then you're starting to look at this like scarcity of like, oh, well, there's only this amount of opportunities for women. So you just kind of become like cutthroat because it's like, oh man, there's just like smaller opportunities. But it was just not to live like that, like to genuinely pull other women up with you and not to be threatened and just like to pull them alongside and like, hey, I'm going to create more opportunities for other women. I'm going to see the lack of that and pull other girls alongside of me and just to shatter any of that like preconceive what people would think would be catty or conniving or chatty or gossipy, like just to shatter all of that and just to show that like, man, the bond between women can be unbelievable. And I think that there's been such an attack on that, especially within ministry. So I don't know, just to fight that whole perspective and to create more opportunities. I don't know, I answered that like in a really weird way.
That was great. That was
I don't know if you guys have any.
I think one piece of advice that I've gotten, which I kind of like sums up, multiple people have told me things, but I sum it up as my womanhood is actually my power in ministry.
It's good.
And so I have, instead of feeling like it's like a hindrance, like, oh, people are just going to respect a man more. Well, actually, I have a different level of influence as a woman, whether that's like, here we're on a girls podcast talking about just things in life, and it's like you're able to speak to other women, but also like I'm personally in the tech production space in ministry, and it's like that's a really like male dominated like kind of field in ministry. But I realized, so I'm the only girl in the department at the church, but I realized that that's actually my power in the department, is that I'm the only girl. I'm bringing a different perspective. I'm bringing a different, hey, there's a girl on the lighting team. I'm not even over lighting, but if she needed something, and here has the leader is, team lead is a man, here I am, and I can actually go in and be like, hey, let's get coffee, let's do this. Like, I feel like being a woman is actually makes me stronger, and like versus feeling like it's something that's like making me pull back. I actually feel like it pushes me to be even more like vocal, or be even more like, hey, I'm gonna say this because you know what I mean, different things like that. I
would say that there is strength in your femininity that so long in leadership we have celebrated women who mimic traits like men. And something to be celebrated is our strength that can become empathetic, that can be softer, that things can be said in such a beautiful way that doesn't have to feel so cutting. I think that there are so many strengths that sometimes society will have us dumb down or like cut off the softness or like make it a little more edgy, when it's like, no, that's actually a strength that a woman, only a woman can bring. So I feel like even like we know that, you know, a lot of people look in scripture and it's like it was always man, but those spiritual mothers in scripture, but also like modern day spiritual mothers, like that's a very important key piece. I can think of like,
just think of in your life, maybe you like fell down and like scraped your knee or something. Like there's nothing like your mom just coming and like giving you a
there's
hug.
a comfort
and, like,
there.
There's a comfort there, and there's also that comfort that I feel like we get from our spiritual. Like one of our pastors is a woman, and I feel like she brings such a like that. Sometimes I'm like, man, I really need comfort right now. Like I know I can go to her. I really need guidance right now. I know I can go to her, and there's that like trust of a mother there.
I love that. There's another question said, what's a valuable lesson you feel your parents passed down to you as a woman? And I would say that like my mom was like a boss, and she never, especially in the industry, in the entertainment industry when I was young, there wasn't any females in the room, and she really fought against a lot of stereotypes. And I feel like it gave me this, put a dog in me, you know what I mean? So shout out to my mom for all of that. Getting stuck in the stress of newly married and trying not to get in a rut. Any tips? Give yourself so much grace. I feel like when you talk about newlyweds, everybody's like, you should be in unlimited bliss. You are merging your life with another person's. You have probably never done it before. It's probably your first time being married, your first time coming across certain bridges. And I had a friend who's been married for quite a long time say this the other day, and she was like, have a lot of grace for yourself. You're doing this for the first time. And it just gave me such an ease.
Yeah, that's really
like,
good.
I felt this, like, even any, just to be transparent, like when Enoch and I would fight or something, and we're like a month in, we shouldn't be doing this. We should be perfect right now. And it's like, no, this is my first time living with a man. Yeah. This is our first time being married. Like, have grace for yourself. Don't hold yourself to an irrational standard. You guys chose to be with one another because you unconditionally love one another. Choose that. Laugh off the fight. Like, be like, why are we fighting about this? There's some things me and Enoch got, and like, there's a blowout fight one day over Drano.
I'm screaming.
You guys, it was like, because I knew we still had Drano. Like, I knew that we still had some, and like our like bathroom got like our shower was like not draining fast. And he was like, come in here, look at this. And I'm like laying back, I'm like, go get the Drano. And he was like, I don't think we have any. I'm like, go look. And he's like, we don't have any. Come in here, look this. I go look and get the Drano. And I'm like, see. I'm like loosening. He's like, well, you could have gotten up sooner. And that just literally launched me into a new millennium. And we just start arguing like crazy. All that to say, we fought over something stupid over a bridge that I've never come across with another person before. Yeah. And it's just like, have the grace in those moments to be like, that's so funny. Laugh it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything is not that serious. You're not getting stuck in a rut. Don't be so fearful of getting stuck in a rut. Just choose to forgive each other. Apologize so fast. Yeah. Like, life is hard. Love doesn't have to be hard. Life's going to throw all those things at you, and just be like, just admit when you're wrong. Oh my gosh. If you can learning how to turn on yourself. I had to grow up so much to realize how to turn on myself. Meaning, let's say I was fighting with you guys, and I know I'm being crazy, I had too much pride to turn on myself. I'd be like, no, I'm going to stick by this. I'm going to stick by this point because I was just way too prideful. Turn on yourself. Be in the middle of a fight and be like, I sound crazy, huh?
Yep. Sometimes it's okay to just take the L. You're like, actually, I was wrong.
It just so much. It's so much more worth it that way. You guys are doing great. We'll only do like a few more, guys. Maybe like 2. Okay. Because I think we've answered a lot of these. How do I guard my heart when crushing on a guy?
Woo! Guys, it's like you guys are
y'all
up
are
in my brain right now. I'm like, y'all are on my
want
street.
to answer this? It seems very fresh in your hearts.
I would say for me, like a lot of the times when like I was going into like a situation where like I have a crush on a guy, I never like invited the Lord into it because like sometimes I just didn't want to know. And I feel like this like
is very real.
Our biggest thing is like, oh, it's like we have a crush on this guy, and like let's say he's like perfect, he has no red flags, or like even if he does, it's like you have to like from jump like start praying about it. Like I feel like in inviting the Lord like really into good. Like the space, because like he will speak, like he's gonna speak. It doesn't matter if it's like the first time you pray, like if you're praying through the whole situation, but I feel like he's gonna like reveal it to you, like of if this like is supposed to be like someone that you're talking to, but like don't be avoidant of the Lord, because like even if you're hiding, like he still sees you and he's still gonna speak even if you're not like trying to listen.
That's so good, boo. Oh my gosh.
Kayla.
Literally almost made me tear up. I'm like,
That's
she's
beautiful.
so wise.
That was beautiful. Guarding your heart, I used to think meant like being really hard. And that's not the truth. And it also doesn't mean that you can't still have a crush on somebody.
Yeah.
Guarding your heart is, first of all, not saying things you can't unsay. And it's not crossing lines you can't go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that has a lot to do with it. And it's just like the simple fact of why you don't tell someone you love them in the first week. Like there are just, when you think of a relationship and guarding your heart, you need to build up to wait. When you are building a table and like the legs for the table are just little sticks because you just put it up, you're not going to throw dumbbells on the table. It's going to break.
Yeah.
No matter what. You need a little bit more support.
Yeah.
So just like take your time with those kinds of things. Don't be in a rush. Guarding your heart is fun.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes when it's like guarding your heart, like I don't want to let you in and see everything. It's like, no, it's fun. It's doing the flirty fun things on the first couple dates. Like, what's your favorite color? What are you interested in? Like,
I love that.
What
Like,
do you
keeping
like?
it kind of light.
Yeah, like and this one's for free. You guys, if you are 1 month in and you're fighting with someone, leave them. Break up. No.
Like, it's supposed to be easy.
If you're 3 dates in and you guys are thinking about needing to go to counseling, break up.
Yeah.
If you're
it's like you got no stake in the game, you might as well.
If you're dating and being like, we need to counseling for communication, break up.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing? You don't have to go through all that. Me and my sister talk about this all the time. I'm like, Liz, you give 10-year to guys you've been dating for 2 weeks. No, you don't have a family with this guy. You don't have to work through this This isn't something you guys need to hunker down and work through. It's like, no, this is why you date. You figure it out. And it's like, we're not compatible. We actually don't see eye to eye on this. We don't have to change the foundation of somebody else to make it work. Like,
we were just talking about this with our dad. Like, there's a promise on the other side of like the process. But you actually have to be like willing to go through the process.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just gonna be like, oh, like happy go lucky. Like, as soon as you like get in it, like you have to like go through the process.
Yeah.
And there's just a balance of all that, guys. This has been incredible.
Yes, it really has.
I literally could sit.
Girls talk.
I could sit
or
and
some
just.
Guys are like, oh, we miss Enoch.
I know they wouldn't even have gotten this far to hear that. They're just logged off. This has been so much fun. I feel like I could do a girls talk pod every other day. The golden nugget for this week.
Yes. What is it?
Kayla, do you want to do the golden nugget?
Whoa.
This is your first time in the seat. She's freaking out.
I just feel like you do the golden nugget.
Difficult. Okay, well, Maya, do you watch the podcast?
No.
Gosh,
I'm not gonna sit here
I'm
and
sick.
lie.
I'm literally
not gonna
so
sit here
sick.
and lie.
Well, Maya, at the end of every episode, we do a golden nugget. That's why the podcast is called a golden nugget. And we say a takeaway from this podcast. I feel like we had a lot of common things. Whenever it comes to girl talk, I would say your take home this week is, first of all, you are so beautiful. You are so loved. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Don't let yourself cringe when you're hearing these things. It's truth.
They're true.
Like, these things about you are so true. There's nothing wrong with you if you're not in a relationship yet. There's nothing wrong with you if you're newly married and you guys are struggling a little bit of like the communication. This is your first time doing it. There's nothing wrong with you if you're having body image issues. These are all very natural things. What we want to help provide is just a place to where we can talk about it and to see what the Lord says about it. What does the lens of Scripture say about our situations? And I would just say that there's so much hope. There's so much beauty. Even like reading these questions, I pray that every person who's listening to this is surrounded with women who encourage you. And if you don't, right here, you have three girls right here who are on your side, who are in your corner, who are speaking life over you. The Golden Nugget podcast, Golden Nugget podcast.
Wow.
Golden Nugget this week. I would say, honestly, it's a challenge. Go find some girl in your world, a woman that you love, and speak life over her.
That's
Like,
beautiful,
what
Hannah.
if we just
I love
change
that.
the perspective this week? Go encourage someone, drop in the comments something that you said to someone this week that you like. Taking the time to pause and be like, you look beautiful today. Your makeup looks stunning today. You have no idea what that does to
Yeah.
someone.
Yep.
There are so many times where I've just even been like, after a conference, after leading worship, met someone and be like, oh my God, you're so stunning. I just thought it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. And I've gotten a paragraph in my DMs of like, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that today.
Wow.
So take every single opportunity to do that. Lift other women up. Let's change the narrative of what it's like to be girls, even girls on a podcast. Girls on a podcast don't have to be gossipy. Girls on a
No.
podcast don't have to be full of tea. We can just be encouraging,
Life-giving.
life-giving, support
Yeah.
other girls. If you're a guy and you're listening to this, support your guys, you know?
Yeah.
Tell your guys how much you. If you're a guy listening to this, what a champion! I love that you
Thank
listen
you
to
for
this whole
making
thing.
it this far.
I honestly, what a gift that
Yeah.
you are to the world to want to listen to this.
But girl talk, you know what I would say? You can always remind yourself, I'm just a girl. And so are you.
and that's a golden nugget from
And so are
Kayla.
you. We're all just girls at the end of the day.
I'm just a girl. Okay, we love you guys.
We love
so
y'all.
much. We will see you next week. Love ya.
Love you guys.
Bye.